and one I'm sure will be going in your National Record of Achievement folder.
I'm pretty sure he's opening his keynote speech at this year's Dublin Teenage Cancer Doctor.
Well, you would presume that he has someone who comes on pre-Dr. Bob, not like as a warm-up, but to introduce him, just bring him on. So I would like now for him to just slip in, blah, 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 3-time Super League Pod Listener of the Year, Dr. Bob Phillips, and then bring him on. That would be phenomenal, and I think that's a good way to introduce anybody to a room full of doctors.
Yeah, shall we?
Sure, it carries some weight. Super League SLP Dream Team, Mark, because this is new this year too.
New this year, yeah. So for every position, we put 4 options for the positions where there's 2 in a team. Mm-hmm. We gave 8 options and made people pick 2.
Yes.
So I'll call out the positions. You call out the winners, Tom.
Fantastic.
Fullback of the year, Tom.
Fullback this year in our Dream Team is Jamie Shaw with 59% of the vote.
Who are our wingers?
Denny Solomona with a resounding 92% of the vote, and he's joined by Don Manfredi, who has 40% of the vote.
Yeah, almost everyone picked.
Yeah, well, given the season, given the Vinacolo-esque season he's had.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you hardly blame him?
Manfredi was strongly ahead of the rest who had a scattered vote. In the centres, who got those positions? Okay,
it was Melbourne youth product Mahi Fanua with 63% of the vote, and he's joined by Anthony Gelling, who had 51% of the vote as well. So congratulations to those 2 gentlemen.
Okay, moving on to the most hotly contested position. This came down to 2 votes in the end.
Wow.
Yeah, who was our standoff?
Our standoff half this year is young George Williams of the Wigan Warriors, who got 44% of the vote. Who was it between?
43% of the vote went to Kurt Gidley.
Wow, so very, very close. Very, very close. Both influential players, of course.
Yeah, the scrum half then.
Scrum half.
Who's pulling the strings?
Albert Goldthorpe medal winner Luke Gale with 52% of the vote.
Incredible. Who is in our front row? Perhaps
not so surprising, 2 absolute monsters who've had fantastic seasons. Chris Hill of the Warrington Wolves with 81%, and Scott Taylor of Hull FC, who got 63% of the vote, Mark.
I think I went this way. In fact,
looking at it, I think this is basically the team I picked as well.
Apart from fullback, I picked Rhys Hanbury, but hooker then.
Danny Houghton, yeah, mate, 59% of the vote.
Yeah, mate.
Not even a thing.
No, I went for the second place, Darryl Clark.
Right. Second row, 81% of the vote went to young Ben Curry, and he's joined in the second row by another young player, John Bateman, who got 64% of the vote.
I'm surprised Curry only got 81% of the votes there.
He's been phenomenal, hasn't he? And John Bateman perhaps suffered from his mid-season indiscretions. Had he been in the team more, he might have picked up more of the vote. But
he deserves to be the second place one.
Absolutely deserves to be in there. I couldn't agree more.
Loose forward.
The evergreen, Frodo himself, Gareth Ellis, 63% of the vote. Fantastic season for the veteran over at Hull KR.
Yeah, I mean,
tough to argue with any of those.
In reality, it will be difficult to do because some of the players were in both teams. But I fancy our dream team up against the real dream team. I think we've made a couple of improvements there.
I think so, definitely. I think I think the Super League Pod listeners have spoken sense. Yes, congratulations. So that's your SLP Dream Team for 2016. That takes us on to the Host Awards, Mark. This is the portion of the show where we dole out, much like the Queen on Maundy Thursday, little coin bags of our appreciation for our lovely listeners. The first of which is in honour of Diane LBW for our Tweeter of the Year. So this is the person who we have most enjoyed and had most interaction with on Twitter and has really supported the podcast.
It's that level of getting in touch on Twitter, of retweeting our tweets, of sharing things, of generally being fully involved in Twitter in a positive way on the show.
Absolutely.
So previous award winners were Diane LBW in 2014, that's why the award's named after her, and Colin Render won the award in 2016. Who wins the award in 2016? Sorry, 2015 was Colin Render. Who wins the award in 2016?
2016, with no great amount of fanfare from me, I'll just go ahead and say it. Elliot Wrench, congratulations.
What's your problem with Elliot?
I don't know, I couldn't see his name on the thing. I lost my place on the sheet of paper and I had to quickly find it, so I vamped. It's there in bold type. Yes, no, well now I've found it. It's really stop ruining Elliot's moment, Mark.
No, Elliot has been consistent
phenomenal
this year.
But he's been involved for such a long time with the podcast.
Oh, definitely, yeah, and this is partly a reward for that, but this year in particular he's been very active in doing the quote tweet thing.
Yeah.
So quoting our tweets and adding on a comment, giving us almost immediate feedback every week, sharing most things we put out there, and this is a recognition of that overall contribution he's given to us, as well as being on our grand final special last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Broke his duck last week, and this week he's winning an award. Congratulations, Mr. Wrench. We're very, very pleased to have you on board. Of course, for everyone's Twitter account, there's also a Facebook account, Mark.
Yeah, Super League Pod Facebook.com/Super League Pod.
There you go.
We would like more people to be on there, but the people that are on there contribute well. So previous winners were Scott Lister, who is the self-acclaimed king of Facebook, and Brian Davies. So in 2016, the Scott Lister Award for Facebooker of the Year goes to a man I have more than a soft spot for, even though he's a second.
I think you would go so far as not to describe. I mean, I might go so far as to say it's far from a soft spot, Mark.
It goes to David Pye.
Yes, absolutely, and thoroughly well deserved as well. Not only was it a pleasure to have met him and his good lady at the Magic Weekend and at the Summer Bash this year, he has also kept in touch with us via Facebook Messenger quite a lot on our page, and retweets with Gay Abandon, doesn't he?
Oh, he likes all the posts to help get exposure out there. That's what we like, likes and shares and comments, and David certainly contributes as much as anyone, probably more. That's why he gets the award.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have had some great likers and sharers on Facebook this year, so next year I feel like the award's going to be very toughly contested, but David's a worthy winner this year. Yeah,
absolutely. We've got some guys that are coming up on the rails for their contribution and the shares that they give us. What's the next award, Mark?
The next award is the Paul Campbell Award for Fan of the Year. This is someone who we sort of feel...
This is a big award.
Yeah, it goes that extra mile a little bit to support their team or their club or just the sport of rugby league in general. Now, Paul Campbell, if people don't remember, he was the London Broncos Fan of Pride in 2014, and he gets about supporting his side, and that's why he's the worthy name on this trophy.
Yeah.
So he won it in 2014. In 2015, he went to Rich Wilkinson for doing a round-the-world trip to see his departing heroes Kevin Sinfield and Jamie Peacock in their farewell and winning the treble for the Leeds Rhinos. Mm-hmm. This year's fan of the year goes to Aaron Smith.
Yes, Aaron Smith.
Of the Brentwood Eels. This is because of his support of rugby league in general, how much he's contributed to the show through following his amateur side.
Absolutely.
As well as the contributions and comments he makes to us outside of that, about just his general thoughts on rugby league and that sort of stuff. We know that when he does go and see rugby league at the Super League level or international level, generally he's had to travel a bit and he's had to book things up in advance and that sort of stuff. He gets his boys around as well, those Eels, to experience as much as they can of rugby league life. Trips to tournaments with people in France, tournaments in the north, link-ups with amateur clubs around the country. So we want to recognise what Aaron Smith has done for both the Eels and the show and rugby league. Absolutely.
It takes a good deal of commitment. In the first year of the Super League pod, we had an adopted amateur team in the Devon Sharks, and we didn't have one for the second series. But for the third year, Aaron came on board and was more than willing to keep us informed. And just the level of commitment that it's taken to the podcast for him to get in touch every week and let us know how the whole range of Brentwood Eels teams are getting on, not just the open age lads, but the young kids as well coming through. I found that really, really fascinating.
Yeah, it was great.
And the work and time that he must put in to that element of it alone is fantastic. Never mind the work he does for the Brentwood Eels. So thoroughly deserved. Congratulations, Aaron, and thank you from both Mark and I for your contribution.
Yeah, the next award goes to the International Listener of the Year, someone who's not based in England but regularly listens to the show, gets in touch with the show. It's called the Dar Garner SLP International Listener of the Year Award, named after Darren Garner, our English friend living in Ireland, who was big supporter in the early years and has now been the reigning twice champion of our Super Rugby League.
Yes.
Last year it was Paul Michael Craig, the Thunder from Down Under. Who gets the 2016 International Listener of the Year award?
Well, there were a couple of names in the hat, but he's grown on us like fungus this year, hasn't he? Reading his tweets out, as the guy that reads out the majority of his tweets, I have to say, is a weekly treat. Alan Walker, our man in Catalan. Congratulations, Alan. It's been an absolute pleasure having you right on board this season, keeping us up to speed with how things are going at the abattoir, and certainly doesn't hold back, does he, Al?
No, and we're a big fan of his passion, and
absolutely.
Even if he takes it in a direction we don't understand, sometimes we still enjoy it.
I love his tangents, and it's thoroughly deserved. And thank you, Alan, for listening to us it must be difficult when you're sat on a beach in Barcelona, chilling out with a San Miguel, watching the world go by.
Yeah, I don't think he likes Estrella, does he?
I think that's right. Yeah, so he was horse pissed, didn't he?
What's the one begins with an M?
Oh, I don't know.
Marat? I don't know. There's one begins with an M that he likes.
I'm sure he's a fan of the genre, and congratulations, Alan Walker. Right, the Andy Barden SLP Listener of the Year mark.
Yeah, so this is possibly the biggest award. This is the one that we find someone who's given a full-rounded contribution of support, contributions across all platforms.
Yeah.
Contributions that have moved us at times, entertained us.
Yeah.
And contributions actively with the show that other listeners have engaged with well too.
Yeah.
And it started with Andy Barden, the Electric Gigolo, the Brit Renegade, whatever you
Foundation listener.
call him. He's one of the legends, and that's why it's named after him from 2014. In 2015, it was Tim Griffiths. Tim Griffiths was possibly one of the most entertaining listeners of the podcast that I've met in person. And he helped share stuff with us that we shared things with Tim that were outside of the podcast in terms of just interesting things about life or what have you. This year it goes to and a very deserved winner, and we
wholeheartedly we often have differences of opinion, don't we? And this was one of those rare occasions where we dovetailed beautifully into one another, didn't we?
There's no devil's advocate on any of these awards, really, and certainly not this one. This one goes to Sarah Scoots Mackenzie.
Congratulations, Sarah. We are obviously big fans of yours to have bestowed this upon you, but it was thoroughly deserved, and we are very, very grateful for all the contributions you made throughout the year. And it's been a thrill for us following kind of your life over this year with things, becoming an auntie again and keeping us in touch with what's going on with Helen and things like that. And then the cup final and the run and the playoff run that didn't quite happen. All these things have kind of contributed to that. And then actually some exceptionally astute analysis of her own team. Doesn't really display a tremendous amount of bias. When Hull have been bad, she said they've been bad, and her observations on the sport are always interesting, and that's probably one of the things that pushed her over the line for me. So congratulations, Sarah. It's thoroughly deserved, and we're tremendously grateful for all your input.
Definitely. Okay, you trailed it at the head of the show, Tom. We're really excited to bring in a couple of new awards this year.
We are.
So the people who are going to win these awards will have these awards named after them henceforth. So
yes.
We better have got it right.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, all will be revealed. We'll start with. Do you want to do? If I do the first one, do you want to do the last one?
Go for it.
I feel like you do a better job with the last one. Okay, so the first award we're going to bring in is SLP Rookie of the Year, because as we were discussing things, we've had listeners who, particularly over the last year, have entertained us and really kind of come on board noticeably in 2016 for the Super League Pod, who over the next couple of years will be eligible and more in the frame for other awards. So the Rookie of the Year award is kind of a recognition of people who are coming to, coming to us, a couple of years down the line. And this chap has been one of those people. We love his tweets, we love his interactions, we love it when he gets in touch with us in any format, and he keeps us entertained, doesn't he?
The first email he sent us early doors in the first quarter of the season or so was possibly the most I've laughed out loud all year.
Yeah.
Even though it was a sort of veiled insult at a member of my team's playing side.
That's it. He brought us the gaffer gas mask. Our Rookie of the Year is Mr. Lee Whitnell. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. So next year, of course, Rookie of the Year will be the Lee Whitnell medal winner.
Exactly.
So there's your name in lights for all to see.
The second new award is the Hero of the Year.
Tell us about that. What does that mean?
Well, it's just someone who we think has done things that we've been really impressed by, selfless acts for other people. Yeah. Obviously, that's what selfless acts are. But not necessarily within rugby league, but just what we've followed of them over the year. And there's a shared winners of this, because there's two people who've impressed us a lot with their fundraising efforts and the kind of things they've been getting up to this year. Those winners are Dom Hodgson and Paul O'Brien. Yeah. Obviously, Dom Hodgson got big behind the charity he created himself with the donations for undersized newborn babies. Yeah. And he's also then gone on to run a couple of half marathons, which in fancy dress.
Yes.
Paul O'Brien got involved in the team that was running with Matt King in the Great North Run this year. He did a big push to try and get sponsorship in on that, and a great effort in doing that run as well. And we think both these two people deserve to be put there. So it will henceforth be the Hodgson O'Brien Hero of the Year Award.